This is New Zealand, one of the most beautiful countries on Earth. Its mountains look fake, its lakes look edited. Its scenery is so perfect it feels like a movie set, but something strange is happening here. People are leaving, not tourists, actual New Zealanders, people who were born here, people who were supposed to live their entire lives in this dream country. They're packing their bags and heading to Australia. And it's happening so fast that for a stable, wealthy, first world country, it's genuinely to understand why, you first need to understand something most people completely miss about New Zealand. Its geography. New Zealand is one of the most geographically isolated countries on Earth, sitting deep in the South Pacific, thousands of miles from the world's major population centers. And that isolation is exactly what makes it feel so special. Peaceful, quiet, protected, like the chaos of the world simply cannot reach it. But that same isolation is also its biggest problem, because building a large modern economy in the middle of nowhere is extremely difficult. New Zealand's total population is just 5.3 million people. That's roughly the same as the single city of Sydney in Australia, an entire country with the population of one city. And modern economies run on scale. Bigger population means bigger workforce, bigger markets, more industries, and more opportunities. New Zealand has none of that. New Zealand's economy essentially runs on two pillars: agriculture and real estate. Agriculture is genuinely impressive. New Zealand is one of the most productive farming nations on Earth. Its land is fertile, its climate is ideal. And because it sits in the southern hemisphere, it can grow food during the off-season of northern hemisphere countries. When Europe is freezing, New Zealand is harvesting. But here's the catch. Most educated young people don't want careers in farming. And even if they did, modern New Zealand farming is so heavily mechanized that it simply doesn't need that many workers. So agriculture earns the country money. But it doesn't create enough careers. That leaves real estate. And this is where things get dangerous. In New Zealand, housing isn't just where people live. Housing is the economy: buying, selling, building, renting, financing, managing. And when any country becomes this dependent on real estate for growth, houses stop being homes. They become financial instruments. Prices stop reflecting local salaries. They start reflecting global capital. And that's exactly what happened. Despite having open land everywhere, New Zealand has some of the most unaffordable housing on Earth. Young New Zealanders look at home ownership and realize it's no longer a goal. It's a fantasy. But here's the real reason people are leaving. It's not just housing. It's opportunity. Small economies have a brutal reality. They simply don't have enough high-end jobs. Want to work in big tech? Auckland is not Silicon Valley. Want global finance? Auckland is not Singapore. Want high-end research? The budget isn't there. Want to climb the corporate ladder? The ladder is very short. New Zealand is a beautiful country to live in, but it's not a powerful country to build in. And right next door, just a 3-hour flight away, is Australia. Same language, same culture, same lifestyle, same sports, but with far more companies, more industries, more capital, more career paths, and significantly higher salaries. And here's what makes this even worse: moving between the two countries is almost frictionless. New Zealanders can live and work in Australia with almost no restrictions. No new language, no cultural adjustment, no immigration barriers. So when leaving feels this easy, and the economic incentive is this strong, and these aren't just any people leaving. They're 20 to 30-year-olds, recent graduates, highly skilled professionals, the exact people who should be building New Zealand's future. When a country loses these people, the damage doesn't happen overnight. It compounds slowly. These are the people who start businesses, become doctors, build engineering firms, pay taxes, raise the next generation. When they leave, New Zealand doesn't just lose population, it loses momentum. So New Zealand does what makes sense. It increases immigration to fill the gaps. But here's the cruel twist. Many of those immigrants, once they gain residency, experience, and stability in New Zealand, also move to Australia. New Zealand becomes a stepping stone. It works hard to attract talent. Meanwhile, Australians are moving to New Zealand, but they're not young workers. They're older, wealthier, retired, or simply high-income individuals looking for a beautiful lifestyle in places like Queenstown or Auckland. They're not building the economy, they're buying property in it. And because Australian average incomes are higher, they push property prices even further out of reach for local young people. New Zealand is becoming a country where talented people leave and wealthy outsiders arrive. That is not a healthy equation. Here is the bitter truth about New Zealand. It is one of the best countries on Earth if you already have money, if you already have a career, if you already own property. But if you're young and trying to build a life from scratch, every door feels like it's closing. Small economy, expensive housing, lower salaries than Australia, and the escape route is right there 3 hours away. So Kiwis do what humans have always done. They go where the opportunity is. New Zealand is not collapsing. It is not a failed state, but it faces a slow, quiet crisis, one that hollows out a country from the inside. Because no country can lose its most ambitious generation and still move forward. If this continues, New Zealand risks becoming exactly what many people already fear. A beautiful museum, a postcard, a luxury waiting room, a country that looks like a dream, but functions like an expensive retirement destination.